Hello, Frizzle Factorial. SPFBO is a yearly contest for self-published fantasy books. Every year there are 10 official judges and 10 finalists, and I just read all of the finalists. I have a video where I rank and review all of them, which you can find linked in the footnotes, and today we're not reviewing them. Today we are doing a few things. One, I'm going to react to the official outcomes of this competition. I have been avoiding the scores, I do not know who is winning, and I'm excited to find out who won and who lost. And then we're going to be taking a deep dive into the stats from all those judges, of who's the most lenient judge, who's the most harsh judge, which book would have won if we normalize all of the judges' scores, and then also looking at independent reviewers like myself who read all the SPFBO books and what they rated it, and throwing all of their ratings into the mix to see how things change. So, first order of business, we are looking at the rankings. I'm excited and a little nervous, and here we go. In last place, we have Fire of the Forebears with an average of 6. I completely agree with this. My lowest was also Fire of the Forebears. Then we have Mysterious Ways, also what I ranked second worst, so I am right on par with the judges right now. That actually makes me feel pretty good about myself. Not that it's bad to have unpopular opinions. In fact, that can sometimes be much more fun than agreeing with popular opinion, but right now, I agree with popular opinion. Third best, Tethered Spirits! This was my favorite book of all of them, and maybe I didn't think it was gonna win, but I didn't think it was gonna be in the bottom half. Okay, next, A Touch of Light. I agree with this ranking. It's not deserving of the bottom, but certainly bottom half, I'd say. Scales and Sensibility. Also, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I put it in my top half, but I could see how it would end up in the bottom half for most people. Okay, so now we're looking at the top 5. The Umbral Storm. That also makes a lot of sense for number 4. I thought it was quite well written, but also I thought it was super boring. Then, Miss Percy's Guide! Yes, this does deserve. I put it in my spot number 2. A Song for the Void. I'm pretty surprised this made it so high up because this is like a horror novel. I kind of expected this would be much lower just because the judges are people who read a lot of fantasy and love a lot of fantasy, and the people who love fantasy aren't necessarily always the people who love the genre of horror. Then, The 13th Hour. Blech. And so many people rated it 9.5. I don't know if I get it. I think I'd have to go read these reviews to better understand why people are rating this one so high. I mean, I can understand it being some people's favorite books, but so many that it's up here. I guess people will be people, and that's one of my unpopular opinions, apparently. And the winner, Small Miracles. If I had to guess which one would have won, this would have been my bet too. It's a very cute and heartwarming story about angels teaching people the value of happiness and fighting for your own happiness. Here are the names of the 10 judges' teams, so we'll be looking more in depth at all of these scores in a second. Here we have all of the numbers that we were just looking at, just copied it here into a spreadsheet so I can do math with them. We've got every single row is a book and every single column is a judge. So, and then if we scroll over here, we've got the official judges' averages, which we'll look at in a second. We've got my score, and then we've got a bunch of other reviewers. There's a channel here on BookTube run by 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐻𝐿𝐒. I'll link it down in the footnotes for you, and she collected a bunch of different people, and here's all those people, and they all read all the finalists and collected their scores. So I'm also throwing them in the ring, and then we'll be able to look at everyone's averages and stuff in a second. But first, we're just going to be looking at the official judges. Okay, looking at all the official judges here, I want to answer the question, who is the pickiest and who is the most lenient of them? So the pickiest is a tie between the Queen's Book Asylum and Bookborn, both with an average rating of 6.95. And the most lenient judge goes to Becky M with an average of 7.95. And we can also look here with the standard deviation of each of these scores of which judges had the greatest range of scores. So the judges with the greatest spread in their scores goes to Fantasy Faction with 1.43, and the judge with the least range in their scores goes to The Weatherwax Report with a 0.88 standard deviation. And now I'm going to rearrange all these books so we can rank them based on who won. So now the next question is, if we normalized all of these judges' scores, who would win then? Is there any changes in the rankings? So what we're doing here is taking the average and the standard deviation from every judge and kind of standardizing everything. So every single judge now here in this bottom yellow numbers has an average score of 0. If it's positive, it's a book they loved above average. If it's negative score, it's a book that they loved below average. And now looking over here to see if we score everything like this, who would have won then? The answer is exactly the same order. There is literally no change or upset. So that's a little bit of a boring conclusion, isn't it? But another thing I'm excited to look at is over here. So now this is the standard deviation of the scores of each book. So what this tells us is how controversial a book is. Because if there's a low score here, if there's one of these green scores, then all of the judges rated it about the same. But if we have a red score, it means there's a lot of spread in how much people liked these books. So the least controversial book, the one that everyone kind of agrees about how good it is the Umbral Storm. Everyone says it's a little bit above average. Not me, but I just have an unpopular opinion about that one apparently. The next least controversial one is the one that actually won, so that's a very solid win for Small Miracles. Wins based on just normal averages, wins based on normalized averages, and is one of the least controversial picks where everyone agrees about how good it is. That's pretty cool. And then the most controversial, we have Scales and Sensibility, which I totally see because if you love rom-coms, this is a pretty fun book. If you don't love rom-coms, yeah, you're not gonna love this one. And we can see that here, that some people have it very positive in their above average and some people have it very low in their below average scores. Another controversial one is Miss Percy's Guide. No, my baby. I guess I can understand it. It is very like funny, tongue-in-cheek, witty writing, but very like over the top and also campy the entire time, and I can see how people might not like that. Other controversial picks is A Touch of Light and Fire of the Forebears. I guess it's just some people really, really hated it and most other people just had it slightly below their average. Now I'm curious what Becky M gave it. 5.5. Well, I guess she did give everything else pretty high. Like, you can see that in a different team, 5.5 wouldn't have been that low at all. So for her, a 5.5 is a devastatingly low score. But for someone else, not really. Okay, are you ready to add in all the extra judges, including my own scores, and see who wins then? I'm so excited about this. Here we go. Reveal. So I have the lowest score by far. My average was 4 out of 10. Yeah, which makes sense because I had a lot of 2 stars in this round. And it's also interesting to look at these spreads here, looking at the standard deviation column. So I also have the largest spread of anyone, which I think I am quite happy with that number. Like the lowest average score of all these judges, meh, it kind of just means I had a really not good time with a lot of these books, which you can find more details about in my video where I review all of them. But the largest spread is something that I'm actually like super proud of. It means that I'm willing to go the whole range. I'm using it all. I mean, I just went from 1 star to 4 star, but did anyone else go that far? I don't think so. Okay, so with all these judges, the 10 official judges, me, and 10 more independent judges that were all using the same rubric, here's the winner breakdown. Small Miracles still wins, but a lot of other things are upset here. So for this ranking, it would go Small Miracles, The Umbral Storm, A Touch of Light, The 13th Hour, Miss Percy's Guide, Scales and Sensibility, Tethered Spirits, A Song for the Void. Wow, that really jumped down a lot with the addition of more judges. I guess we got some people in here that didn't like horror. And then Mysterious Ways and Fire of the Forebears stayed last. So now let's look, even more interestingly, if we now normalize everything. Now, who wins? Here we go. Unsurprisingly, it is still Small Miracles. But Song for the Void gets booted right down to the below average category. The Umbral Storm would get booted up a little bit, and A Touch of Light would get booted up. And looking at what is the most controversial between all of these 21 judges normalized, we have Song for the Void, Miss Percy's Guide still, A Touch of Light, and Fire of the Forebears. So it seems like people liked Fire of the Forebears more, disliked Song for the Void more, adding in all these extra judges. So on the left, we've got just the official judges. On the right, we've got all of them. Song for the Void became controversial adding in all these extra judges. Before, it wasn't really that bad. Miss Percy's Guide stayed controversial. Scales and Sensibility became less controversial. A Touch of Light more. And everything else stayed about the same. I've got the lowest average with a 4.40 and the highest spread with a 2.37 standard deviation. I hope this was fun. Thank you for watching.